Okay, from the missing to the mysterious. Here's the UFO report. Little Timmy Seanor coming on in.
Nobody's gonna know.
They're gonna know.
What is happening, Mr. Little Timmy Seanor? Good to have you back. Now, I've been kind of telling the audience that for some stupid reason, you want to interview me tonight about some strange things. I don't know why, but this is a first here, man.
Yeah. Well, it's about time maybe your audience gets a little insider look at the real Dave Scott. After I
my.
got to come and hang out for so long with you, and I mean, I figure after a man shares the same roof for so long and knows so much, well, we should start talking a little bit more about that stuff. And I wanted to share some of my great experiences there. So you introduced me to your amazing abode, and you live in such a great part of the world. And you took it upon yourself at some point to build a separate studio addition to your house and call it Spaced Out Radio Headquarters. And so I got to sit in that very chair, and I have a photograph of myself sitting in that very chair you're in right now. And what was your motivation, and what was your inspiration to start Spaced Out Radio?
Oh, wow. I haven't been asked that in a long time. It was my own experiences, man. Everything that I had experienced with UFOs, paranormal, seeing the two Bigfoot at the time, the channeling, the weird stuff that was just happening, premonitions. I just really couldn't find the answers. I was literally one of those people, like many in our audience, where you have an experience, you stay up all night trying to track things down, but everything of mine just seemed to be a little bit different than what everybody else. Like when I saw black triangle and videos of black triangles on YouTube or pictures of black triangles, they never looked like what I saw, and it was really, really frustrating. And so I got to a point where I started hanging out with some very like-minded people, and I started, being more conscious of what was going on. And then I was asked to start a radio show. Knew nothing of online radio. And I think if I wasn't naive enough to realize how much competition was out there, how many people were actually doing this, I don't know if I would have. But here we are, 8 radio stations, almost a couple 100,000 listeners a night, and a chance to meet some incredible, incredible people, not just in radio, but the fans, those who listen. It's been incredible. It's been a great journey. The last almost 9 years, man. November 30th, it'll be 9 years.
Wow. And excuse me, takes a lot of dedication to do it, every night of the week, delivering a show, whether it's the 5 nights a week that you host or the weekend shows that you master and are a part of and make sure that those are produced properly. It takes a lot of dedication, a lot of time, and a lot of passion. And I see that in you every night with your dedication to being here on time and to have your show and to have this wonderful audience that you literally talk to every single chance you get to. And you do parties and you host all kinds of events for your radio station and Spaced Out Radio just in general. And so what's that real motivator for you? Are you looking for the truth in all your questions to the people that you host? Or what is it you're searching for?
That is a twofold question. Number one, the selfish side of me is I'm looking for answers like everybody else. I just have the journalistic ability to talk in front of a microphone and be comfortable with it. I look for patterns. Patterns, I think we don't spend enough time on in trying to figure out. You're a nuts and bolts kind of guy. All right. And yeah, I bugged you about that. Okay. Many a time on this show. But the one thing that I am very interested in, I don't care if it's anecdotal stories or full research, is finding the patterns to what's going on. How many people out there have had an encounter with a UFO, and then all of a sudden something else strange happens? Well, what is that strangeness? Why did it happen? What ties it all together? Okay, so that's one part of it. Number two, I missed Art Bell, man. Okay. When Art Bell was at his prime. Now, I've tried really hard, not to be an Art Bell clone. Okay. We do our little tribute at the bottom of the hours when you hear the thunder come on the air. That's our little tribute to the legend. See, the problem with what we do, Tim, as hosts of these type of shows, or you listen to podcasts or you listen to YouTube channels, is everybody tries to do the same thing. All right. But how do you differ? How do you make yourself stand out? And what we did was, I wanted to bring that spookiness back to terrestrial radio. Okay. The online radio thing, as much as people say, hey, I listen to online radio, they really don't. All right. I've seen the numbers for online radio that say they're getting hundreds of thousands of hits a month. And I look at their channels and they're lucky if they get 100. All right. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to bring that spookiness back to the night, not as a copycat of Art Bell, but as a tribute to what he did, because I think it's lacking, especially in terrestrial radio where everything seems to be so compartmentalized and fast, and nobody's digging really into subjects. It's all headline type of crap now. So that's why we do it, you
Yeah.
know, and and I like that fact. I like the fact that, whether you're listening in Vernal, Utah on channel 94X, whether you're listening to the Bowler, the Rattler in Apache Junction, whether you're listening to the Zed in Ridgecrest, California, or Saga 960 in um in Mississauga, Ontario, or in Noonan, Georgia, on Rock the Key, 99 Rock the Key. The way I look at it is, we're trying to bring something different to them, make them think, make them learn, maybe scare them a little bit that this is going on. And you know what? Our ratings on every radio station we're on keep going up, because people still want this. People still want to listen to what we do.
Yeah.
And if I'm the guy who has to do it, I really don't mind, because I have a lot of fun. I have a
Yeah.
lot of fun, man. You know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. You sure do. We all do. We all do. This is a really fun radio show. It's a really fun show. But you brought up Art Bell, and so I'm gonna ask you a hard question now.
Sure.
Okay. Now we're buddies, and I kind of know, but I'm wondering, how do you feel right now about this? Because we know that Art Bell even struggled with the mythos and the science and the real. And where do you come in on the phenomenon and all the topics surrounding it when it comes to what's real and what isn't, and how to report on it? And also in this, I'd love to get where you personally stand in your thoughts and beliefs on that.
Wow. That is a tough question. Okay. Start off with the first part. The Art Bell side of things. Art was a radio genius. There's a reason why he wrote the book The Art of Talk and it went to a bestseller. There's a reason why he was on radio for a long time, because he was absolutely in touch and in tune with his audience. And he was a very political show back when he started. He was into politics. And then all of a sudden, every now and again, he'd do something on ghosts or UFOs. And all of a sudden, he would see the ratings spike and the phone calls spike. And so he started doing more and more and more. And that's how the legend began, from the kingdom of Nye, we all remember. And there is the problem that we have in our business, and I've said it like this many a times before. Basketball took decades before Michael Jordan and LeBron James and Kobe Bryant came around. Hockey took almost 75 years before Wayne Gretzky came around. Boxing took centuries before Muhammad Ali came around. But when it came to late night talk radio in this subject, the best came first. And that is huge, huge shoes to fill. Okay. And I don't think it's been filled since. There's great people involved in this, whether it's George Knapp, George Norrie, Jimmy Church, Clyde Lewis, Connie Willis, many other great hosts who have taken on this topic on a professional level. Okay. But I don't think any of us have ever reached that level of Art Bell type of entertainment. Okay, maybe it's because none of us can smoke inside of our studios, and Art was a chain smoker during his broadcast to get that lovely raspy deep voice. Okay, I think that was it. But as far as the phenomena is concerned, I think that the phenomena affects everybody differently. Okay, it affects everybody in strange ways. Some may be paranormal, some may be near death experiences. And I think what you have to do is you have to look for the honest and genuine people who have experienced it. There's people out there, yes, who want their 15 minutes of fame. They just want to hear their voice on the radio. Okay, and you have to weed through that to get to the heart of the matter, because so many people are having their lives affected by this strange phenomena. I mean, we call it woo as a nickname, but so many people have been affected by this. And it's really, really interesting to see how people react to the topics, whether and how it affects them. Because these topics, I mean, when you see a UFO, you can get somebody out there who will say, hey, whoa, that was kind of cool. And somebody out there who at the same time who is balding their eyes out because it scared them so much. They've never seen anything strange and real. And now this has just flipped their reality into another dimension, pun intended. So how do I feel about the phenomena? I think the way it's being reported right now, I think people are starting to get a little smarter, realize that it all is intertwined. And I thank a researcher and a good friend, David Weatherly, who's an incredible author. And everybody should add David's books to their collection. People like David Weatherly, Grant Cameron, especially those two, who helped me realize that about 5 years ago, that the phenomena is everything. There is no paranormal. There is no ufology. There is no cryptid research. Those are all byproducts of the phenomena, which is overall everything at once. Some people will call that godly. Some people will call it something else. Okay. But there is just too much going on to say that this isn't interconnected. And, this is why I make fun of a lot of paranormal teams, where they always have the team skeptic posing on their website with their arms crossed, standing very straight with a stern look on their face. Why? Why? We should all be skeptical about what's going on. We should all question what's going on, and we make it funny, So that's the way I look at it. It may not be for everybody. There's obviously going to be differing opinions out there, but that's just the way it is. But there are incredible researchers out there from many, many different genres, okay, that are doing great work in trying to understand the phenomena, okay, to understand what is going on. I mean, if I were to pick my top 10 as we're running out of time here, I would say Grant Cameron, David Weatherly, Joshua Cutchin, Tim Renner, Nicole Sackich is amazing. Lorian Fenton, Melinda Leslie, and many others. Geraldine Orozco, Samantha Mowat, Merle. Okay, Ross Allison. I think I nailed 10 right about there. Tim, hold on right there. I know you're going to continue drilling me when we come back on Spaced Out Radio. Apparently, the next half hour is about what makes Old Navy tick on Spaced Out Radio on the UFO Report with Tim Seanor. We return right after this. What's going on, man?
Oh, I think we know what makes you tick. Taco Bell and Tim Hortons.
Right there, buddy.
There it is. Look at this guy. I love it. Absolutely.
You loved the ice caps. You loved the ice caps.
You guys saw it on film. I mean, it happened. I enjoyed those things. Just like, it is candy, though. Let's be honest. That is absolutely candy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Adult candy.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, no, awesome stuff going on. It's great to see your smiling face. It's been such a hectic week, as you know.
Oh, dude.
It's been just fun. Awesome.
Hectic.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Yeah, my boss is on holidays right now. So I'm doing like triple duty right now.
Wow. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's no joke. That's no joke. Hey, I was going to weave in some current events with my questions for the second part. Are you kind of cool with that?
It's your show.
My show. You're hilarious.
Take it where you want, man.
I do have a couple of, well, at least one hard question for you. Just because.
Ask away.
I will, but I'm not going to
ask me anything.
Yeah.
You can ask me anything.
Unless it's science-based.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I do have an opinion on science-based stuff. I just may not get the answer right.
I love it. I love it. Oh, man.
You can ask me right. You can ask me questions right now. I mean, we are still broadcasting.
Okay. I mean, I'd love to.
And for the chat room record, I see a couple people asking, "What's an ice cap?" It's like a cappuccino slushy.
Think of a cloud that's just flavored coffee flavored cloud in a cup. It's fantastic.
All right, ask away.
Whose idea was it to build that massive shower? It's like a 5-man shower. I mean,
where?
At your house, the one that's just upstairs to your left and then another right.
That was my idea.
That thing's massive. You could host a small luau in there.
My previous shower was about quarter the size of that.
And you were like, never again.
Never again.
I get it. It's such a massive upgrade.
So when I remortgaged my house, I had a contractor come in and build me like a 5-person shower with 3 different shower heads. And I put a bench in there just so I could sit down and relax and enjoy
coffee, maybe an ice cap.
I've even had a beer in there, dude.
Of course you've had a beer. I don't want to know what you've had in there, honestly, but I'm sure it's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's great stuff. Mm-hmm. Dave's house is filled with upgrades like that. Just little Dave-isms that you can tell that was Dave's idea. That right there.
Yeah.
It's great.
Oh, yeah. You didn't even see, if you would have sat in the 2-person bathtub, if you'd have sat in there, you could have played with the great white sharks that I have for there.
That was why I didn't. When I saw the sharks, that was a big red flag.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Joseph's like, so is it a locker room? And I'm like, no, it's not a locker room. Oh, random guys in the chat room.
Sweet. Oh,
a random guy. How are you?
It's so busy. It's so cool that he's here. Who knows where
Yeah.
he is on the planet right now? Everyone, he could be
I think he's
Zimbabwe. He
I think
could
he's in
be
Dubuque, Iowa for some reason.
in Butte, Iowa. Sure.
Dubuque,
He
Iowa.
could
He's picking some corn.
maybe hand shucking. I could see
Yeah,
that.
and shucking some corn
Yep.
in Dubuque, Iowa.
That guy is sorely missed. He
Dry
knows.
Toast. Dry Toast, the best name on YouTube, is here.
I love it. The best
Mhm.
name definitely on the
Oh,
internet right there.
yeah. Hey, let me say a quick thank you to Louis with the hat trick, and we have Doof Doof and Brother Jake and Lord and Lala with a couple super chats each. Kira, W Decker, W David Page, and thank you so much for the love and support. Also, we do have now, it is open, is our Space Travelers Club. Now, we are going to be adding more to it. We've got one member so far. That's Mennonite Abe. We'd love for you guys to join up as well. Here we go. Here we go with the final half hour of Spaced Out Radio tonight. Good to have you with us. My name is Dave Scott. Very much appreciate earning your listening ears. Reminder to all of you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/spaced out radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com. We have a plethora of features for you. Rock out to Bumblefoot, read the news wire, check out our swag. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio, Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show, and join the Space Travelers Club over on Patreon. Here we go. Tim Seanor, for some reason on the UFO report tonight, making it about me. I don't know. I don't like it, but hey, he's got some questions. Apparently, I've got the answers. So, Tim, fire away, my man.
All right, Dave. Now, you know, this show is founded on woo. We love the woo here. But, Dave, as a host, I'm wanting to know, where do you personally draw the line when it comes to the woo and it comes to the real?
Everybody's experience is different. Okay. I've never stood in your shoes. You've never stood in mine. I've been criticized over the years of making up my own stories for the sake of ratings or popularity. I remember some person out there was complaining that I was a full-fledged liar and that the incident between Samantha Mowat and I back in 2014 in the forest where we saw the extraterrestrials never happened. So I asked the person point blank, I said, have you ever been to Mission, British Columbia? Were you at the property in the forest that day? Because I only saw two of us there. Were you hiding behind a tree? You know, here's the thing, Tim. I've never stepped in your shoes. You've never stepped in mine. Who am I to tell you that your experience is not real? As corny as it may sound, as weird as it may sound, okay, I take a lot of criticism from people who have never really listened to this show, where I've been interviewed on other radio stations and radio shows where people say, no, that's impossible. You know, nobody has seen Bigfoot and had alien encounters and UFO encounters and paranormal encounters, and all of a sudden is psychic. You know, even my own friends and family have questioned me on it. But here's the thing with, I still consider myself a journalist, 25 years now. And the one thing that I learned about journalism was, if there's no reason I'm BSing your audience, because if it isn't truthful, it will come out. Eventually, it will come out. And I've always been truthful with our audience, with my personal experiences and with other people's experiences. Who am I to say that they didn't experience that? The weird part about the phenomena is it hits everybody else differently. I mean, how many times have we heard stories where a group of people are standing around Okay. And there's a UFO in the sky. 3 people out of the 6 can see the UFO, but the other 3 can't. All right. And you personally now have worked with Samantha Mowat to know that when she's around, strange things happen. Very strange things happen. But you have to, stay away from the muck in this community. Okay. The muck being Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it now. Okay. The muck being the podcasts and YouTube channels that just want to throw shade on people without any truth, without talking to that person. There's a lot of big shovels out there that people try and throw dirt on others. I don't like that. I stay away from that. George Norrie actually gave me that advice a number of years ago when I met him. And him and I were talking privately, and I was surprised he knew who I was. Very surprised. And, and I asked him the question. I said, how do you keep control of your own sanity, knowing the critics, the people who want to bring you down? He goes, I just don't pay attention. He goes, I don't go online. I'm not searching for it. I'm not on Twitter. Okay. He goes, I just don't pay attention. I got a job to do. So that's what over the years, I'm not good at it, but I'm trying to shift that over.
It's very wise advice. It's hard not to read what your critics have to say, but it's fine to read it, but just don't take it to heart, right? Unless it's constructive criticism. But I like what you had said a little bit earlier before the break, and you had brought up the fact that the phenomenon in its perception, all of our perception is slightly different, but in its perception, it's been compared to being godlike. And in fact, you're not alone with that comparison. In the headlines, Harvard professor Avi Loeb, in fact, says that godlike aliens or the phenomenon itself may be creating its own universes in labs of sorts. And so he's obviously perpetually provocative in his descriptions of what he has as theories on what could potentially be out there. In one of his quotes, he says, you can imagine that the superhuman civilization that understands how to unify quantum mechanics and gravity might actually be able to create a baby universe in the lab. And he told the Byte news outlet that a quality that we assign to a god, in quotes here, in religious texts. And so it's interesting to see this comparison, knowing that he himself has been searching the Pacific Ocean for potential crashed spaceships that purvey or could have held alien life. And so he's insinuating this search for God or godlike entities. What's your take when it comes to this potential showboating, if you want to call it that, in this case?
I don't
Or
think I don't think it's showboating.
do you think that's legitimate to make a statement like that in a quote to the New York Times, perhaps even, focusing
well,
on the potential rather than the science?
look, science is theory. Everything is theory. Okay, that theory, and there's no reason why. And I'm going to preface this by saying, I have been very, very critical about Avi Loeb's work. You know that Avi Loeb, the Harvard professor and the astrophysicist. Okay, I don't like what he's doing in the UFO field. We've talked about that, but that's a personal opinion. But when it comes to this, I do agree with him. Okay, because the idea that this is a theory, as you just said, that there might be something godly happening here. We don't know. We don't know. And he is willing to he is willing to understand, in my opinion, that there is something more to this phenomena than what we are giving it credit for. He wants to expose the phenomena, not on a TMZ type level, but he wants to know what makes it tick. That's good science. We
Mhm.
haven't pushed the boundaries of science yet. Okay, that's the purpose of this. Is why I don't understand why so many more scientists aren't involved in UFOs or the cryptid world or paranormal, because there is so much activity and potential evidence out there that cannot be recreated. Why is that the case? Why is that the fact? Okay, why is this happening? Why are people having these experiences? Okay,
Yeah.
a prime example of that is a good member of the SCU and a good friend of mine, Simon Fraser University professor Paul Kingsbury, a number of years ago, I think going back almost 10 years now, got a $183,000 grant to study why people believe in the paranormal. He was 100% not believing of
Yeah.
any of this phenomena. Now, he'll tell you he's seen traces of Bigfoot and evidence, from footprints to hair samples. He's been on paranormal investigations where he's seen ghosts. He's seen UFOs, courtesy of Charles Lamoureux, that are unexplainable. He's now a board member of the Scientific Coalition for UAP Studies. He's all in. He
Yeah.
has government people on both sides of the border calling him for information. Okay? We have
Yeah.
to study it. That's what science is all about. Science doesn't stop. It's like the periodic table, it doesn't stop, but every number of years we find a new element. It doesn't stop. We just haven't discovered it.
Okay. I'd love to just give a slight pushback here, because I'm a massive supporter of science and SCU and Avi Loeb's work, and the work that's being done by Gary Nolan and things like that. But even with the statements made by David Grush recently, we've seen bold statements now coming from Avi Loeb, such as this, and quite a lot of theories from Loeb, and Gary Nolan also making some very bold public statements. But yet the public has still not seen any evidence of any of the statements that have been made. And yet the people that are doing the science are making some very outlandish, if I may say, personally, that's my quote, statements on it, saying all these theories that could be happening, yet we still haven't seen any results supporting any part of the theories that we've been kind of dangled. So I get frustrated when I hear massive theories or claims coming from the people that are supposed to be doing the science and presenting supposedly legitimate results publicly. So I get a little nervous when I hear Avi making statements like this, and I get a little nervous when I hear Gary Nolan saying that there's intelligent life visiting, and I get a little nervous when I hear that there's body and crashed craft coming from David Grush, yet we're still waiting for any bit of evidence, any
But it's
thread
being locked
to the
down.
truth. Well,
But it's being
it's not a matter of it being talked down. I'm not getting into that aspect of it. I'm merely saying that these statements are bold from the people
Mhm.
that we're looking to for the truth. And yet we're you know what I mean? This is supposed to be the scientists on top of this topic and publishing results.
Yeah.
But we have yet to see any of the actual results on any of these bold statements and theories, is all I'm saying.
Understandable.
It's a bit
But
frustrating to
but
come from those people.
that's a different topic, though.
Okay.
Okay? That's a different in my opinion, that's a different topic,
Yeah.
because you're right. Grand Grandiose claims deserve grandiose evidence. Okay? And if you're going to speak that way, but I mean, Tim, let's throw something out there. Okay? As skeptical as you are, the more that you want transparency, have you ever seen an alien?
Um, maybe. I
Okay,
mean,
so how did that make you feel?
nervous, really, like, nervous, shooken, shaken, little, like,
Okay.
still
So
skeptical even after seeing it up close.
okay, but the thing is, you saw something that you can't explain.
Right.
Okay, how do you prove it?
With the cameras and the data.
Okay, but let's say the cameras weren't there.
Right. That then becomes tricky.
Okay.
Yeah.
But you experienced it.
Mhm.
Okay. You experienced phenomena that you cannot shake. And it is going to affect you for the remainder of your life because you know what you saw. You just don't want to accept what you saw. You're not skeptical of what you saw. You know what you saw, but you're questioning the reality and the validity of it. Your mind knows what you saw. Your eyes know what you saw. Your heart and soul know what you saw. You just don't want to accept the reality of it. So, how does that fall in scientifically? It doesn't. It doesn't. But we hide behind the word of skepticism rather than acceptance.
I'm totally cool with that. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me. How do you personally feel about how this is being reported on, though? Because we're getting all of this incredible theory and headline grabbers, but
If
yet
I were,
it's
yeah.
still mysteriously managing to remain unproven.
Well, I mean, unproven to who though?
Well, let's say the skeptics, the
Okay.
mass,
Yeah,
like
but
the
the skeptics are
massive
never the
science
skeptic
community.
the skeptics are never going to accept anything. Okay. They're still on swamp gas.
But don't you want bodies or a piece of a
Of course I
craft?
do. Of
Well,
course I do.
that's what I'm wanting. That I mean, I want the same thing you guys do. But we just haven't gotten it yet, right? All these big claims, yet no bodies, no craft, no like, look, it was here at this point. We have this piece of paper. We know this is real, and it says that this craft was here, and it came
So
from this crash site. Like just
so
anything substantial.
what type of Pandora's box do you want to open?
I mean, I would take any piece of substantial evidence at this point for all of the massive claims that we've been getting lately.
And you're ready to ruin humanity over it?
Well, I just think truth is at this point, we're gonna lose faith in the people that are telling us this stuff at some point if we don't get some scrap of evidence, I think. Whether it's the government that's telling us this or a whistleblower, whatever that source
I agree.
is, we're
I
eventually
agree.
going to lose faith
But we're
because at
also
this point, it's a "just trust me, bro" thing. And I think we've all kind of had it with the "trust me, bro."
yeah, but here's the thing, Tim. The people who are in charge of this have a much bigger picture on their plate than what you and I want or the public
Definitely.
feels that they deserve. We're talking about screwing with the lives of 8 billion people.
So why have a
Those,
public side to this topic then? Why
well,
have the public hearings?
that's the big question. That's the big question. Why is this going on? Why is it happening? Why now? I've been
Yeah.
asking the why now question for 3 years.
You haven't. I'm sorry. This was supposed to be a Dave night, and we definitely went off road here, and we got a
So
little real for a moment. But
if we want afterwards, if you got a few minutes afterwards while I'm editing the show, you could stick around and we can talk about that a little bit. But I
maybe
mean,
we should catch up. Yeah.
okay, but the point that I'm getting at is this. Okay, there are some significant people out there who are understanding the fact that this is a good thing that it comes out that to find out that we're not alone in the universe. There's also people out there who are absolutely petrified on how the world is going to react, from the people who have never seen a white person who live in the jungles of Thailand or Brazil or Africa to the people who are still partying like it's 14.99 due to their religion, okay, to the people who suffer from depression and anxiety, to the economy, to biofuels, to everything. This is
Okay.
going to affect absolutely everything on the planet. Okay.
Let me break in here because you are somebody that is massive in the media and you report very generously. And I see that you tell as much as you possibly can.
Yeah.
So recently, we've seen some pretty big reporters, like let's just say, for example, Blumenthal and Keene, when they reported recently on their interview with David Grush, they decided to not talk about certain aspects when they reported. They
Yep.
pick and chose the details of the interview that they decided to report on. And we're seeing that happen on this topic, even from the sources that we are relying upon. So at this point, who is making those decisions in your opinion, and why would something like that happen?
That's a good question. They decided to keep it out because they felt that the going down the A word, alien, was not going to get their story in bigger publications. Ross Coulthart basically said, I've got him on tape talking about this. We're running with it on Newsmax or News Nation, pardon me. Okay. And we're running with it.
Okay,
It
so
was,
why is
it was
big
a
media
journal's
so afraid of
They're
that
not
topic?
afraid.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
They're not afraid. They're stupid. Okay. Mainstream media, when it comes to this topic, there, and I've said this millions of times to our listeners, in every newsroom across North America, there is not a CIA agent or an NSA agent telling the editor what can and cannot go on the air. It doesn't work that way. Okay. When it comes to topics like this, the problem that you have is a bunch of egos sitting in news director positions or news editor positions saying, we're not running this crackpot story about some dude on a farm who had a UFO landing and there's some crop circle out there. Okay. And by the way, one of his cows is now dead. We're not running crackpot tinfoil hat. This is real news that we're running. Give me Kim Kardashian. And the more news has become infotainment, that is the reason why. Now, what the media is starting to see, and the reason why we're seeing more publication of UFO stories now, is because they are seeing a rating spike in radio, in television, newspaper sales. They're seeing a spike in it. And the editors are grinding their gears right now saying, I don't want to run this crap. But the advertisers are saying, or the salespeople for the stations and outlets are saying, we need to run more of this because there's money to be made. It's a business move. And on that note, Tim, we're going to end it right there. Thank you, little Timmy Seanor, for a really weird UFO report tonight. Going
thank
off the
you.
top.
No, thank
Appreciate
you. I appreciate you being honest and let me ask those hard questions. I
Oh,
really
yeah.
do. Fun. It's fun.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, the good part about it is we're done for tonight. And we're going to come back tomorrow and do it all again. Why? Because we love the woo that much around here. Thanks, Tim Seanor, Bill Bean, Merle, and, of course, Steve Stockton for another great story. As we say, we got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot THAL rocking in the background with Little Brother is watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at work, at home, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone in our chat rooms tonight. YouTube, Twitch, LGAB, Facebook, Spreaker, LinkedIn, the Space Travelers Club, and on Twitter at hashtag Spaced Out Radio. I know you're out there somewhere. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, we're watching. We own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night. But soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.